Hi guys, welcome back to Chaos the Podcast. I'm your host, Belle, and I'm so excited. This is my first real episode, so let's go ahead and get into it. So 2023 is coming. We all know that, right? So we all know that our feeds and everything that we're about to consume is going to be about setting goals and 2023, your new affirmations and your new goals. And that's exactly what this podcast is going to be about, okay? And I think this is important. Some people find it to be a bit cheesy to, at the new year, new me and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's fine. Be as cheesy as you want. Have fun with it. I think it's such a great opportunity once a year I think you should do it more than once a year, but it's an obvious reminder to check in with yourself and where am I at in life? What am I doing with my life? Where do I want to go with this next year? So I think it's a great thing to set goals for yourself and to do the whole new year, new me bullshit. I think it's fun too, and it's exciting, and then you can look forward to the new year. But specifically in this podcast episode, I want to help guide you a little bit on how to set those goals. And before you can do that, you need to reflect on 2022. So 2022 was a very big year, an interesting year for me. Basically, the advice that I want to give you right now is when you want to sit down and set your goals, because it can kind of be like one of those things that you're like, oh, I'll put it off. Set aside a half hour, okay? 10 minutes, I want you to take the time to sit down and reflect on 2022. The next 20 minutes are going to be dedicated to planning your goal for 2023. And set a timer so that you're not spending too much time or too little time. It just gives you 30 minutes just to self-reflect. If you want to do an hour or two, that's fine, but I feel like 30 minutes is a pretty solid amount of time to just sit down and take the time to do it. So thinking for myself, reflecting on 2022, like questions that I was asking myself when I did this myself, what did I experience in 2022? What were the highs? What were the lows? What lessons did I learn? And one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that I am okay to be alone. I can be alone. Life is obviously better with another person, but it's totally to be okay alone. And I think it's important to be by yourself, to love your own company, to be able to depend on yourself, to know that when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And there are some things that I've told myself that I would do and I haven't accomplished that task yet, and that's okay. But I'm just checking in with myself and knowing that I always have my back, because you need to trust yourself and be loyal to yourself and to put yourself first. And, I'm 24 years old, being in my 20s. Everyone says, when you look at advice that people give out in your 20s is when you should be selfish, and not in a bad way, right? Like there's a way to be a good person and be selfish and put yourself first. But I definitely think that I've done that in my 20s, and I feel really good and I'm really proud about where I'm at and the people that I have in my life right now. And that's something else. Looking back on 22, I learned how to be present. I learned how to be more in the moment. For years, I feel like I rushed through life. I couldn't wait to get to high school. I couldn't wait to get through high school. I couldn't wait to get to college. I couldn't wait to get through college. I couldn't wait to go to basic training and tech school in the military. I couldn't wait to graduate from that. Everything in my life, I was just looking forward to the next thing. And there came a point where when I was moving from Massachusetts to California, I was talking to my dad about this, and I had this realization, and I was like, I have been running for the last 10 years, just moving towards the next goal. And I was we were sitting and having dinner, and I was like, I can't believe I'm moving to California. And I was like, I can't believe how many things I've accomplished. And I felt like I didn't fully experience anything because I rushed through it and I just wanted to get it done. And that is something that I spent 2022 learning how to do. And just a super small example of how I made that change in my life is at the airport. When I was younger, you're probably like, what is she talking about? Just hear me out. because this small change that I did, like, was like a ripple effect for other things in my life. So going to the airport, like, sucks, right? Like, everyone's like, I want to travel, I love traveling, but the actual act of traveling sucks so bad, right? I used to get such bad anxiety going to the airport, and I feel like I would like black out and get like tunnel vision, and it was like, okay, I just need to get through TSA, like I need to get all my shit together, I need to get to the gate, and like run to the gate, and then I would have an hour and a half till my flight took off. And I was like, why was I so tense? Why did I yell at the person that I was with? Like we were being attacked or followed, or I had 30 seconds or less to get through the line. Like, nobody's chasing me. Like, the plane isn't leaving for an hour. I'm totally fine. And now I go through the airport and I get there on time. Last couple of airport experiences haven't been very good. And that's kind of something else that I want to like reflect on a little bit is, so we'll come back to that. But now when I go through the airport, it's more of like a leisure experience. I know what to expect. I know what going through the airport's going to be like. I know I'm going to get to my gate on time and everything's going to be fine. And it's not this like stressful anxiety experience. I don't get so angry at the person in front of me who's moving so fucking slow. I'm like, oh my God, put your bag through the thing. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's fine. We're all going to get through there. That little change, ripple effect into other things. Going to the post office. The post office is one of the scariest places in the world. The people working there are always mean. I suddenly forget how to like write a letter, where to put a stamp, like what my name is, where am I sending this? I don't know all of a sudden. Like, I don't know what happens, but things like that, it's just like the black cloud comes over and I just like panic and I go into this anxiety. And little things like that in my life, I know this kind of sounds silly, but like, hear me out. These little changes and these little things that like I get so worked up over that I have no reason to get worked up over, right? Like, we're going to get through this next thing. We're going to accomplish this next little task. Having that calm mindset has helped me so much because I don't overreact as much. When like a year ago, I would like lose my shit over the smallest things. And I look back and I'm like, oh my God, Isabel, like that wasn't important. Like, that was not something to react like that about. And in 2022, I learned what is important. I learned who is important. And I learned how to react in situations. I learned that overreacting isn't going to get me a better or a different outcome. It might get me a worse outcome, actually. I learned that overreacting is just going to make me feel like shit and make other people feel like shit. And it's not going to help anybody, and it's not going to help the situation. The last 2 times that I've flown, so I'm going to go back to what I was about to say. The last 2 times that I've flown have, if you're watching video, you see Benny, he's adorable. But if you're listening to the audio version, go on YouTube and check out Bunny. He's adorable. Here's little feet on the wood. He's so cute. I don't know what I was about to say. So my last 2 airport trips have been a fucking fail. So I was supposed to be in Boston right now, but I didn't get on my flight this morning. So 2 trips ago, I woke up kind of late for the airport, got to the airport, and it's LAX, so there's a ton of traffic. There was like literally 2 people working at the counter and like 150 people like needed assistance. And I literally got to the counter and the girl was like, what flight are you on? And I was like, it's taking off right now. And she was like, oh, well, let's rebook you then. And then I sat in the airport literally all day. This morning, I got to the airport on time, but I forgot to include Benny in my reservation. And when I got to the desk, because you have to go through the attendant if you have a pet with you, I get to the desk and she's like, oh, he's not on the reservation. And she was like, ugh. And I was like, what do you mean, ugh? Like, what is she about to say to me? Like, and she goes, we only allow 4 pets in the cabin and you're the 5th pet. And I was like, so what do we do? And she was like, well, you're not getting on this flight. And there's no more flights for the rest of the day. They're all booked. There's a flight tomorrow. And then she was like, but you can't bring the pet on the flight with you. That one's overbooked with pets too. And I was like, sitting there, and I like called my family and I was like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Like, it's fine. It's fine. Got it figured out. I'm flying out tomorrow. My roommate's going to watch Benny. It all worked out. In the moment, I was really upset, but I was like, it is what it is. How do we fix it? What is the next option? And a year ago, I would have been like a totally different person. You would have thought that the world was literally ending and you're like, Isabel, it's fine. You're going to go home tomorrow. And it was like, but no, this flight. Like I would have been such a drama queen about it. And I know this story sounds like a little bit extreme and like ridiculous, but I feel like sharing these little bits of stories, like I hope that you can relate to it in some way. Like you're hearing this and you're like, oh, I have been to the airport and I have definitely felt that anxiety. Anyways, that's my reflection on looking on 22. Those are some of the things that I've personally learned and realized that I've learned, which is really amazing. I think being able to measure, so like I say this all the time, so I'm going to throw a book recommendation out there with this. So you know how it's pretty easy to measure physical growth, whether it's weight loss goals or you're trying to gain muscle or you want to lift heavier weights, whatever the situation is, right? It's pretty easy to measure physical growth, but it's really difficult to measure mental growth. There's this book, I actually have it right in front of me right now. It's by Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's my favorite book ever. I've read it twice, maybe 3 times. I'm actually planning to reread it. I write all over it. I highlight in it the lessons that he talks about in this book. The first time that I read it, I didn't understand half of it. I was like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. The second time that I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, I know what he's talking about now. I've experienced that. I think this book is a really great way to be able to measure mental growth because you can reread it and go back and be like, oh my, I didn't understand that a year ago, but now I do. And I think that's a really cool thing to do, which is, like I said, it's easier to do with physical growth. So to be able to recognize mental growth, I think it's like so, I don't know, I find that very fascinating. This is just an incredible book. This author is really incredible. Mark Manson is similar to Gary Vee, like with his delivery. Leo Skepi, I talk about him all the time. I think I've posted like 2 vlogs on YouTube at this point, and in both vlogs I've been like, I'm listening to Leo Skepi's new podcast. You need to go listen to him. So if you like Gary Vee, Mark Manson, and Leo Skepi style, that's going to be similar to like how I talk and like the style of my delivery. So if you don't like them, you probably don't want to listen to this podcast. Getting back on track, I think it's important that you sit down, you reflect on 2022, look at what you've learned, look how far you've come, looking forward, making your goals for 2023. And I think the best way to do this is to sit down either at your computer, on your notes, on a Word document, or if you're a pen and paper gal. I'm a pen and paper person, and then I rewrite it onto my notes because I like to make extra work for myself for whatever reason. Sit down with a pen and paper, and I want you to write down every single thing that comes to mind. Like just set a timer, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever you want it to be, and just write anything that comes to your mind that you're like, this is what I want my life to look like in 2023. I want to change the way that I dress. I want to change the way that I eat. I want to change the way that I walk. I want to change the way that I talk. I want to become friends with this person specifically. I want to go try this new coffee shop. I want to try coffee shops every Saturday. I want to save more money. I want to budget. I want to read this book. I want to, like, whatever it is, write it all down. Okay. So after you do that, then what I want you to do is choose your top 5. Depending on how much you wrote, you could choose 7 or however many you want really, but I would say 5 is a pretty solid number. And then what I want you to do is go through and SMART goal, specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, and time bound. And I want you to write that out on those 5 goals that you have and just like break it down. So what I did was I chose 5 books that I want to read this year. It's so funny. When I was making the list, I was like, 5 books doesn't seem like very many books. But then like when I reflect on how many books I actually read this year, I'm like, damn, 5 books is kind of a lot. Maybe we should back it up to like 3 books. So I chose 5 books, and then exactly which 5 I wanted to read, specific. And then the measurable and the time aspect, right? How long are these books? How much time do I think I need to read them? Do I need a month, 2 months, 3 months? And then I spaced it out throughout the year and made time markers of when the book should be done, which is also an opportunity to check in with yourself. Hey, did you read that book? And what you can do is you can put these time markers in your calendar as set a reminder. I'm like old school. I use an agenda book like calendar. I have my 2022 one right here. I have used one every year since 7th grade. I love writing it down. I love being able to see everything written out. I have the exact same calendar for 2023. This is like the best. It has everything that I wanted to have in it. I got it on Amazon. I think it's like literally like maybe $10. So I will link it in the description for you guys so you can check it out if you want to get one for 2023. So you can write down at the end of February, I should be done with this book. And it's like, check in with yourself. Did you read that book? Hold yourself accountable and have those little reminders for yourself. Sometimes we see people make these goals, these lists of goals, and it's like 10, 15 things. And that's really, really great. But you have to prioritize because you're not going to be able to accomplish all of them. You need to rack and stack. What's important? What's more relevant? Does something need to be done sooner rather than later? If you want to focus on your health and your fitness, like you need to make a workout plan. Have your workout splits for the week. What are you going to work? And then you need to figure those type of things out. So I have already made my list and I did my top 5. I haven't completely finished breaking them out yet, but I used my book one as an example. I did that. So hoping to keep myself accountable for this year, because in 22, I think I literally read 2 books other than like what I was required for school reading. I didn't read any of the books that I wanted to read. So that is on my list. A more solid, more realistic workout plan. I think that I'm like one of those people who I'm like, it's either all or nothing for me. And like by all, I mean like 150%, not 100, like 150%. I'm very much an extremist, which is, it has its pros and cons. My goal for 2023 is to have a more realistic health plan because I give myself like restrictions. I'll be super, super strict. And then like I'll binge and just like crash and burn and ruin everything that I just worked on the last month. So that's something that I'm trying to change, is I want to have like a more sustainable lifestyle because I'm very much the person who's like, eat the damn cookie. I want to try to find the balance. And I think for me, the balance would be setting like a 30-day goal or a 2-week goal, and not necessarily the next whole year. What's going to be fun for you? What's going to be a fun way to keep yourself accountable and be able to check in with yourself? My last piece of advice that I hope that you include in your top 5 is, so a little bit of a backstory. I want people to recognize that life is short. Life is way too short to live a simple one. You should absolutely be living a chaotic, full life of experience. And just to give you some examples of that, things that I have started incorporating into my life in 2023. So last year, I was actually going through my camera roll, reflecting on some fun memories. And last year I was looking back at my best friend Amber and we went and we would go on Tuesdays to this running club. Her and I hate running. Like, I hate running. She hates running. But we had a PT test coming up and we were like, we need to start running. Like, how can we get ourselves to run? So on Tuesday nights, we would go and meet up, and with like, it was like anywhere from like 50 to 100 people. And it was this bar, and you would start at the bar and you would like go run, like it would depend on the day. It was like they would do different things, anywhere from like, I want to say like 1.5 miles to like maybe 4 miles. And every week the route would change, which was really fucked up because on week 2 we were like, oh yeah, we're fucking ready. We know where like the halfway point is, like mentally we got this. And then all of a sudden we're like going, and then they like took a turn and we were like, wait, this isn't what we did last week. And then it was like the whole mental defeat of, I don't know how much further we have. I can't keep going. We have to walk. And it was like such a fun thing because we would just like talk for like an hour and then we would like go back. We never actually went to the bar to have drinks after because we were trying not to drink alcohol at that time, and we would be like so exhausted after the run. We were like, I can't socialize right now. And I found out about that I went and I bought new running sneakers, and I went to like one of those fancy little running stores, Fleet Feet, I think is what it was called, in Sacramento. I was like talking to the guy and I was like, yeah, I'm new to Sacramento, trying to meet new people, da 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 da. And he was like, oh my gosh, you have to like check out this running club. Like they do all these fun things and these events. And like, I don't like running at all. And I didn't go to most of the events, but I did go to some of them. And it was honestly so much fun. It was fun to meet people, and it was completely free. There's things like that going on all the time. We joined sand volleyball team. Her and I are like two of the most unathletic people ever. It was so much fun. We had a blast with it. That wasn't free, but I think it was like maybe like around $100. It wasn't like anything too crazy. Looking forward in 2023, I signed up there is like a self-defense martial arts school nearby. One Saturday a month, they'll host a free class. They have a free self-defense class, and then they also have a weapons and swords training class. So I went ahead and I signed up for those, and those are completely free. And those are really great opportunities for you to meet people and for you to just try something new and like learn a new skill. And then one other thing that I'm doing is I want to get into like going to yoga, and I found this yoga studio that hosts at a Hilton, and it's like sip and stretch, I think is what they call it. And you go, it's completely free. You do the whole yoga bit, and then afterwards you can pay to eat like breakfast or brunch or whatever it would be, and then they'll provide like mimosas and like fun things, so then you can like meet new people. So those are two things that I'm going to be doing in 2023. I've already signed up for them. How do you find these? I found them by literally like Googling free self-defense classes, free yoga classes. A lot of the stuff I found was listed on Eventbrite. There's a ton of stuff on Eventbrite, and you can literally just search and filter free stuff in my area, and then like just hundreds and hundreds of things come up. What I am challenging you to do is to fill your life with chaos. Life is already chaotic, okay? So we need to embrace the chaos, and I want you to fill your weekends and your weekday evenings. That's my other thing. Don't live for the weekend. Please, God, live every day. Like, I want you to live your life to the point where you don't know what day of the week it is. That is how my life has been the last couple of months. That I'm literally like, I have no idea what today is. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's not, I know it can be like it seems like a lazy, unorganized thing, but it's not. It is the fact that I'm living every day with like an open, present mind. It's not, oh fuck, it's Monday, and oh fuck, it's Sunday. It's like, oh my God, like I get to live today and do what I want to do and accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. So I want to challenge you to seek something, at least one thing, as many things as you want, but at least one thing. I want you to find something, and I want you to go to it. If you want to bring a friend, bring a friend. I'm not going to fucking know. But I think it would be more empowering if you went by yourself, if you can go to it alone. Because whenever I've done things like this, when I brought a friend, it was like a crutch, and I didn't talk to other people because my friend and I just stayed in our huddle, and we were like, that was so fun. I'm so glad we did that. But then we didn't talk to anybody. So I would challenge you to find something alone. But if that's too much, bring a friend and like make an agreement to split up for at least 10 minutes. That would, if you have to have somebody with you, break up for like 10 minutes and be like, all right, you go meet people, I'm going to go meet people. And then we can have our people meet our people, and we'll just be a fun little group. Go try something new, learn a new skill, and it can be free. You don't have to pay for it. You can find free shit. There's free shit going on all the time. Another thing you can do that I was really successful with in Sacramento, and I just really recently found some for LA. In Sacramento, there was so many farmers markets, and I was actually friends with the girl who ran the social media pages. And so what you need to do is you find like the Instagram or the Facebook pages of the town or the city that you live in, and people post, there's shit going on every day. It's like crazy. Like when you find these pages, you're going to be like looking back on your life, and you're going to be like, what have I done every day? I do nothing. Like I never go to this fun shit. Like what am I doing with my life? I want to challenge you to go find something free and go to something by yourself or with a friend and take some time and meet new people and get out there and live a full fucking life. Live, embrace the chaos, submerge yourself into the chaos. Try something new, challenge yourself, push yourself outside of your comfort zone. You never know if you're going to like something or if you're going to like somebody unless you try something new and experience new things. So that is something that I want you to put in your top 5 priority for 2023. That's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please, please, please rate it 5 stars only. I will not accept anything any lower. I'm just kidding. Leave a comment if you enjoyed this. My DMs are always open. My social accounts are listed in the details below. If you have something that you would like me to talk about in a topic in one of the coming weeks for the podcast, please let me know. I'm really excited about doing this. This is something I've been wanting to do for a really long time. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next week. Thanks again for listening to Chaos. Bye, guys.